Good evening and welcome once again to Diggers and Dozers Live. I'm your host, Mark Anthony, and before we start, I need to apologise for my voice. With impeccable timing, I've managed to pick up a cold, even though I've barely left the house in about 6 months, so I'm not sure how that's happened. But if anyone needs a Barry White style voiceover, you know exactly where to find me. Now, assuming my voice does actually hold out, on tonight's show, we're going to be talking all things electric. I think we can all accept that the days of diesel are numbered, even if its total demise will come a long time after the environmentalists might have liked. All of the major manufacturers are currently experimenting with diesel alternatives, or at least partial replacements. So Komatsu and Kobelco have elected to take the hybrid path. The last Bauma case unveiled a new wheel loader prototype that's designed to run on biofuel. However, it's the push towards electric power that seems to be gathering pace at the fastest. Bobcat, Liebherr, Volvo, Wacker Neuson, and a whole host of others have unveiled electric-powered machines in recent years. But it's JCB that is quickly establishing itself as one of the key pioneers in this electric revolution. And to find out more about that, we're going to be joined tonight by Daryl Cottingham. He's the product and engineering manager in JCB's attachment and light equipment division. You know, if you have any questions or comments, just add them in the comment section below, and we'll try to address them as we go along. Before I bring Daryl onto the stream, let me show you the product that we're planning to talk about first. Here we go. Good evening, Daryl, and thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Mark.
Glad you can be with us tonight. We've just seen a video there highlighting the fact that you've just extended your electric-powered equipment range to include a new track dumper, which is very exciting. Can you take me through the key features of that machine, please?
Yep, sure, Mark. So in terms of the new electric dumper, which we've recently released, the key thing about it is the actual package envelope exactly the same as our diesel version. So that's 690 millimeters wide, so it goes for a typical domestic doorway. The skip height is at 1.45 meters of the current diesel of 500 kilograms. Mark, is still there?
I'm still here. Yeah, we just got the camera on you at the moment. But just while you're saying that, I'm just going to ask you a very quick question. Does the battery? We appear to have lost Daryl. I must admit his signal was getting a little sketchy there. So hopefully he'll rejoin us. I was planning to play this later, but while we're trying to get Daryl back on the stream, this is another electric product that JCB offer. Let's play this in the hope that he manages to rejoin us. Bear with me 1 second. sure the problem's at my end and not at the end of JCB. But Daryl still hasn't managed to find his way back in again. So I'm going to blab for a little bit in the possibly vain hope that he's going to turn up in the background. Now, obviously, we're focusing tonight on a couple of specific products here, electric products. And I think one of the questions that I wanted to ask, and hopefully if Daryl manages to rejoin us, I will be asking, is where do we go with power on construction equipment? Because we seem to have this kind of disparity at the moment where we've got different companies going down different lines. I'm going to hold that thought because Daryl's just come back in and I won't have to waffle any longer. Hi, Daryl, you're back.
Hi, sorry about that.
That's okay. Did you go and put another 50p in the meter or something?
Yeah. I don't know what you heard because you went offline and then I was by myself, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, the funny thing was at my end, I was by myself, so we'll gloss over all that, pretend none of that happened. Right. I was going to ask you. You said you've got the track dumper into the same envelope as the diesel version.
Yeah.
Does the battery pack make a difference to the weight of that machine?
So the weight's increased by 30 to 40 kilograms. That's the only difference between the actual specification of the two machines. So it has the same width of the machine, the same tip height of 1.45 meters, the same load capacity. The battery pack itself is a 4.9 kilowatt hour battery, which is lithium ion. The motor has a peak power of 9 kilowatts, which is very similar to the diesel version. The charging system has an onboard charger, and which gives a charge time from a typical domestic supply of 2 hours from 0 to 100%. And the noise is really reduced. At the operator ear, you have a noise of 76 decibels, which is a lot less than the outgoing diesel version.
Absolutely. Any idea on the operating time you can get out of a full charge?
So from testing, we've always found it'll last a typical day, which is 4.5 to 5 hours work. And it really does depend on the duty cycle, but that's what we've seen throughout all the testing we've done at JCB before we launched the product into the marketplace.
Because dumpers of all things are a slightly odd beast, aren't they? They do seem to spend an awful lot of their time on tick over, just waiting for somebody to do something, don't they?
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, 4 or 5 hours, I guess, is a very good thing. There is there any sort of automatics cut out there that so while the machine's idling, after a certain time it goes off, or am I getting ahead of myself now?
So at the moment, on this particular product, there's no auto idle on it at the point of launch, but we are looking at ways to develop that system as we move forwards.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, JCB being the company that it is, you don't go into new markets and new products blindly. So what do you see as the key applications for an electric dumper of this kind?
There's quite a few applications. I just thought I'd reel off a couple today. House building is one of them. So this is when you've got material needs to be moved in and out of a house. So it can go through a standard doorway, as I said, 690 milliliters wide. Landscaping is an application where you've got a load and carry scenario. Typically, you're in a housing development where you've got to remove material from the back of the house to the front of the house. It can go for a tight side entrance to the back, pick the material up, and move it back into a standard size skip. And then agriculture is another application where some of the applications we see is animal feed. So you're feeding the animals in the morning, and they're sort of the typical things we see. And there's loads of other applications really, but that's just to highlight a couple.
No, absolutely. Just a quick highlight here. We've had a couple of comments in. One of which is a supermarket trolley. What is the size? Can you remind us again of what that width is again?
So the total width is 690 millimeters, which is effectively the width of the skip. That's the widest point on the machine, and the carrying capacity is 500 kilograms.
No, absolutely. That's fantastic. We've had another question in here from our friend Peter Ferguson. Is it available with a cab or a canopy? Given the layout of it, I'm guessing not, but I'll leave you to answer that. But
no, it's not.
Well, are we talking about spark-free operation and that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's spark-free operation. There's no sparks from the machine.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll get back to the proper questions, and if these keep coming in, we've had one here actually. It says, I'm going to put it up on the screen purely because I'm a big head. I love your videos. I don't know who GTA Mullins is, but thank you very much. You've mentioned some of the applications there. So do you see this as a machine for the rental market, or are you aiming more at specialist contractors and even specialist subcontractors?
I mean, the machine's aimed exactly like our diesel version, so rental, owner operator, or contractor. There's not really a specialist market, but what we do realise with these types of products is they can go in sensitive environments, working long hours, in the morning, early hours, because they're so quiet. That's the key attribute that we see. And really, it's antisocial hours. When it's dark at night, you do it. You can work all the time, really, with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, the dumpster that we've just been describing there is just the latest stage in JCB's electric revolution, as I've decided to call it. I'm going to recap. I've already played this once while I was fudging, but before we move on to the other bits of the JCB product range, I'm going to run this video again, and then we'll pick up where we left off. Bear with me 1 second, Darren. Another couple of questions, but we've had a couple of questions in from viewers again. Peter Haddock asking charging time, which I know you've covered. It was a 2-hour charge for a 4 to 5 hour working day, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if the battery is at completely flat, it takes 2 hours to charge up, and from testing, 20 to 80% is around 73 minutes. So it just depends on the state of charge of the battery.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, it will last a typical day. And from our testing, 4.5 to 5 hours is what we've found and learnt from the product.
That's superb. Now, I've just shown the electric mini excavator there. So can you just quickly take me through the other electric power machines that are currently on offer from JCB?
Yeah, so in September 2017, we launched the electric scissor lift, which has been a great success, followed by our 1.9 ton mini excavator, which is what you've seen in the video that you played a bit ago in March 2018. And then we've got a tele truck, which has got a 3-ton lift capacity at 2-meter reach, known as a 30-19E, and that was launched in April 2019. And our latest product is the electric dumpster, which was launched a couple of weeks ago.
It really feels like this is gathering pace now, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Now, as a slight change to that, obviously we're all aware, if we're in the business, that JCB recently produced a hydrogen-fueled prototype excavator, which is obviously at the top end of the product range and sort of outside your department's remit. But is that indicative of what's coming? Are we looking at hydrogen for the top end and electric for the bottom, or am I getting ahead of myself?
So in terms of JCB, we're really shaping up to a zero carbon requirements for our products in the future. Even if you take our electrification products now, their CO2 footprint is massively reduced when charging from a renewable source. Even today, the UK is around 50% zero carbon generation, and beyond that, carbon-based. In terms of moving forwards, we have to look at other alternative sources, and hydrogen is one possibility which we're going to look at. So, and that's what we see at the future.
I do find it interesting. While you were offline for a second there, I was waffling and fudging basically, and one of the things I was saying was, having been to the last Bauma and the last ConExpo as well, it does seem that all of the major manufacturers are kind of doing their own thing. So we've got hybrids alongside electric, alongside hydrogen, alongside biofuel, and it almost feels like we're coming to that VHS Betamax thing of, are we all going to have to choose at some point and go down a specific route? I think it's probably too early to ask that question, but it does certainly feel to me, as an outsider, it does feel like it's the electric that's really gathering pace at the moment.
Yeah. It
Now,
certainly is gathering pace. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure you're up to your eyes with these sort of things. Now, I'm not expecting you to give away any trade secrets here, but obviously there are more site dumpers and more mini excavators in the JCB range. So can we expect to see them being given an electric boost anytime soon?
I mean, we're always trying to innovate our products and bring new technology on board. The market response for our first electric machines has been really encouraging. So it does make sense to bring more electric products into the marketplace. So I'm sure in the future you'll see that come out.
I look forward to seeing those. Now, I guess my final question, and I'm not entirely sure it's a fair one to pose to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. Every time I cover the launch of a new electric machine or an electric vehicle, we get the same old question about the fact that, yes, they are emissions free at the point of use, but you've still got to generate electrical power back up the line in order to feed into that machine. Now, I'm not expecting you to take over, running the national grid or anything like that, but are we not just pushing emissions back up the food chain in the way that we're going?
So I think it's important to understand, there's two aspects to what we call emissions. The first aspect of emissions is air quality, and the second aspect is, for example, CO2. So if you take air quality as a first point, it's a massive improvement at the point of use, the air quality. So you've got electric product where you had a diesel product. At the point of use, the air quality is completely changed. So there's zero emissions at the point of use, and the air quality being transformed. So that that alleviates the thing for fume extraction in confined spaces, and obviously has a massive benefit in terms of congested urban areas. So that's the first point in terms of air quality. The next point is CO2, for example, and that really depends on how the electric's generated. So today, the UK is around 50% generation of electric from renewable sources, and therefore, if you take that into account, the net effect of the product that's going out with a 50% electrical charge from renewable sources is less than a diesel version, and it's improving the overall footprint of electrification and electric products. And if you look at the market, if you go back 5 or 6 years, the amount of renewable sources available to us to generate electric was lower than it is today, and the trend is always increasing. So it's definitely a positive future for electric products as we bring them into the marketplace. And what you do find is that, again, if you look at contractors where you've not got the national grid on site, historically they're using diesel generators to charge at the battery packs. Now what you're seeing is, as the big sites have been developed, they're putting renewable power sources on site, so small wind turbines and other sorts of solar power, which is on site, which then again has a massive benefit to the environment and charging infrastructure, really.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I've been down to the eVision supercar or Tesla supercar hire place down in Kent, and they are, they're very proud of their cars, but they're also proud of the fact that their entire facility is covered in solar panels, and they are basically charging those cars for free. I guess that's where we end up with rental companies and possibly even sites as well. We'll have possibly demountable solar panels, and that will sort us out, won't it? It's an interesting time, I think.
Yep.
So, Daryl, I've taken up enough of your evening, and I'm sure you've got a home to go to. So, where can viewers find out more? Is it just straight onto jcb.com? Is that the best starting point?
That's the best starting point. Yeah, there's a lot of information on there about the E-Tech brand and all the products we have around us. So, yeah, everything's on there. Videos, YouTube is another example. JCB machines, find everything on there. The same video you played before, all the launch videos on there of this product. So, it's a good starting point.
Fantastic, Daryl. You've been an absolute star. I really appreciate you taking the time, particularly as it's out of hours now. So you get off to your whatever it is you're doing this evening, and I'll round up. But thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
All the best. Just one final point before I sign off. It's a fairly short show tonight. What are we looking at? 20 minutes, so it's not that short after all. A few years ago, I wrote a book about why I believe that JCB is the Apple of the digger world. Thinking about it out loud now, the book probably needs updating, actually. But if you'd like a copy, that book is still available to buy through Amazon. So until next time, here's a quick advert for that book. Please buy it in your droves because I've got a family to feed. Until next time, I'll see you soon.
You might think that a JCB digger and an iPad have very little in common. You'd be wrong. Check out why JCB is the Apple of the digger world by Mark Anthony, exclusive to Amazon.